Today's video is going to be another thrift store challenge. If you've been following this series, you'll know that we've gone to Pottery Barn, to West Elm, Anthropologie, Crate and Barrel, and I've most recently gone to our house. They had some really beautiful and aesthetic Christmas decor. So we're gonna combine everything that we saw, get loads of inspiration, go to the thrift store and see what we can come up with for a whole lot less. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. First things I noticed when I was shopping at all of these high-end stores was the amount of cedar they were using in their Christmas displays instead of your traditional pine that you would typically see at the thrift store. But then I came across this beautiful garland for just $3. It came out on a new cart, which is oftentimes where you can find the best things because no one's really seen it yet. But because the cedar garland was just a little bit too short and kind of thin for my mantle and my stair rail, I just decided to use it to adorn my kitchen window. And for the bow, I actually just used a table runner and I just kind of folded that into a bow-like shape. And this was the end result. I think it's super fun and festive, but definitely much more budget friendly. Next up, if you've been following this high-end dupe series, you'll know that I particularly love going to the high-end stores to get inspired by how they're styling things, if they have a bowl, what's inside the bowl, how is it styled on a coffee table, and so forth. If you watched my Pottery Barn Dupes video, you might remember this really beautifully shaped glass bowl, so I ended up picking that up, and then also from the Dollar Tree, I grabbed these gold stems. I ended up only using one of them, so this is a really affordable project. I really loved this luxe bowl at Crate and Barrel, but it was just a little bit out of my price range. Just the bowl itself is $100, and then the stems were also extremely expensive. So I decided to make my own faux snow just using some Epsom salt, and I also picked up some of these crystal gems from Dollar General for $2. And then I'm just going to kind of strategically place these stems inside the faux snow just like they did at Crate and Barrel. The thing that I really loved about that Crate and Barrel display is when the light caught on those stems, it gave a really beautiful reflection, and I thought placed in a glass bowl would only further enhance that effect. And I really love the way this project came out. It only cost a few dollars to make, and I think you get that luxe look on a budget. But if that luxe look is just really not your thing, there's so many things you could do. You could fill your bowls with berries, you could fill them with bells, pine cones, ornaments you're not using this year. I did a combination of ornaments and bells that I wasn't using this year and decided to place them in this really rustic bowl, and I think this looks great and so budget friendly. As I've been perusing through all of these high-end stores, I think one of the items that gave me the most sticker shock were these deer statues. So Pottery Barn had a kind of smaller version that wasn't that expensive, but then when I was shopping around at our house, I really was shocked by what they were charging for some of these pieces. For example, this deer statue is $449. So whenever I'm at the thrift store, I've been keeping my eyes out, but normally I just see this kind of like paper mache material statue, which is definitely not what I'm looking for. But then I finally came across one. It was on, again, a new cart, and they were only charging $5 for it. It did have a couple minor issues. It had some scratches on it, as well as the color was just not quite right. It was just really like pigmented and almost like gaudy looking in a way, and I wanted to just tone all of that down a little bit. So I just gave it a quick just once over of some champagne mist spray paint, and that was really because I knew that this statue was going to be placed near this wreath that I DIY'd in a Pottery Barn Dupes video as well. So I love that I was able to score this deer statue for just $5. It's a substantial piece that I think I will have for every holiday season to come. If you happen to watch my DIY ornaments video, you'll know that a lot of the inspiration for the ornaments that I used for my tree this year came from Crate and Barrel. And Crate and Barrel has very kind of modern decor, I would say. And when I was in Crate and Barrel, that just further was amplified, and I realized I kind of just needed some black, like plain black ornaments. I saw this really cool hack on TikTok where you could take ornaments that you're not using this year and just buy a pack of balloons, cut the top off of the balloon, and then wrap it around the ornament, and then just attach your cap. Add some thrifted ribbon as a means to hang it, and I think you have a really affordable way to kind of change up your look every single year, but on a budget. Next up, let's talk about some seasonal glassware. Pottery Barn definitely was my favorite overall in terms of their place settings and their glassware. But if you have very nostalgic and traditional Christmas style, you might really enjoy some of the selections you would find at your thrift store. For example, I found a set of 6 of these glasses for just 30 cents a piece. And this is just a very easy swap out. So I have these champagne flutes that I also thrifted. And for a subtle festive touch, I'm just going to remove the flutes for now and place these up there instead for a fun festive look. Now, this was still falling a little bit flat for me, so I did decide to run to Dollar Tree and grab some cinnamon sticks and place 1 cinnamon stick inside each cup to, again, enhance that sort of festive touch. So for just about $3, it's a really easy and affordable change that anyone can do. One of the things I liked the most when I was shopping around and getting inspiration at Crate & Barrel was just kind of how easygoing everything seemed. It was just a green candle with some faux snow and a hurricane vase, and I think those are all things that you can either DIY or find at your thrift store. For example, I found this hurricane vase at the thrift store for $2. We're just gonna do that faux snow trick with some Epsom salt and some crystal beads again, and then I found that green pillar candle for just 30 cents at the thrift store. So this makes it a super affordable project. If I were to buy all of these components through Crate & Barrel, I would be spending about $50, but instead I spent, I think, about $5. Because that's the goal, right? We want the high-end look, but on a budget. Another hurricane vase I was really happy to come across, but this was several months ago that I found this one, and I purposefully bought it and I wanted to save it for Christmas. It's originally from Z Gallery, just under $50, but I only paid $5 for it. I was so happy when I pulled it out because honestly I forgot that I had picked this up, and I think that this is a large scale piece. It occupies a lot of space, it fits in with my color palette, and it is so budget friendly. And you can definitely use the battery operated candles, but I just prefer the flame you get from a real candle. I think you get a more luxurious look in the end. If nothing else, I'm gonna strongly encourage you guys to pick up your ribbon at the thrift store because you can find brand new, never used ribbon that is so beautiful. I love plaid, so I decided to take that $4 huge pack of ribbon and just kind of embellish my tree with it. For the skinny kind of dainty ribbon, I like to use it to hang ornaments, but I found these bells on Amazon actually, and I wanted to make just like a little wall hanging or an embellishment that I could place on this very rustic ladder that my sister-in-law gave me. And to place above it, I'm just going to take this wreath that I picked up from IKEA a few years ago after Christmas, and I'm just going to embellish that a little bit further with some additional ribbon. And I think this shows you there's so many uses for ribbon. It's not just for presents, you can use them in so many different capacities. Another example is I found this sweet little crock that's almost just like a planter. It had this snowman with some earmuffs, and that was just a little bit too festive for me, so I did decide to remove his earmuffs, reattach that handle there, but then because I removed that and I flipped it to the other side, it needed a little something. So again, I'm going to take additional ribbon, tie a little bow around it. It's a temporary change. If I want to take the ribbon off, I totally can, but I think you get that festive flair on a budget. And for the last idea, it came to us by the Lifestyle Co.'s Kristen Forgione, and she just embellished her stacks of books with some ribbon. I think it's a really affordable way to enhance your space for the holiday season. One of the things my parents did for the holidays that I never really understood until I was a parent myself was why we are putting fake presents underneath the tree. But if you don't put the presents there, it kind of looks really like empty and sparse. So if you have littles, I found this genius TikTok hack, and that is to take any box you have, something heavy inside of it, wrap it up like you would any other present. And the point of making some of these really like heavy, hard to move presents is so that way your kids can't get underneath the tree, they're not turning the tree on and off, they're not touching the ornaments, breaking the ornaments, getting hurt themselves. I've literally seen parents put baby gates up around their tree, and I feel like that just totally kills the Christmas spirit, right? So I think this is a better option. If you have small kids, do it this way instead. Another kind of quick parenting idea for underneath the tree, my parents used to have our caroling books underneath the tree in a pretty basket, and I thought, why don't we kind of do the same thing, but instead of caroling books, let's just make it traditional kind of Christmas kids books instead. So I have this basket. I ended up not using this tree skirt this year, so I'm just going to tie that up, place it inside the basket, and I just collected several different children's books from the thrift store for about 50 cents to $1 a piece. And if you have curious kids like mine, this is definitely a great distraction from touching all of the pretty things on your tree. The next thing I want you to keep your eyes out for while you're shopping around your thrift stores are seasonal candles. Now is really a great time to find some really good pieces. For example, I found this originally from Pottery Barn tree-shaped candle for just $2 at Goodwill, and it fits with my color palette. It is very festive and fun, but much more budget friendly. Another thing you can do if you don't have that kind of luck and you want to add that festive touch but you don't want to break the bank is consider just changing out the color of your tapered candles. So typically, probably most of us have tapered candles in our house and they're white. And that's great for year-round decor. But I think now for the holiday season, if you want to just spruce up your space, add a little festive touch, run over to Dollar Tree and just switch those out to maybe some red ones instead. When I was shopping around Crate & Barrel and Our House, they had a lot of different options for nutcrackers, and they're almost always pretty neutral. And this is actually an old DIY. Before I even had my channel, I would just collect nutcrackers, spray paint them black, and it made all the difference. And that about wraps it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for your support and for watching this channel. I can't tell you how much that means to me, especially during this holiday season. And next week we are headed over to Our House, but please leave me a comment down below if there's a store that you would like me to do in this series, and I will see you guys next Sunday. Bye.